Years ago, when I was just a kid, I worked at one of those extinct video rental stores. Working at a video rental store wasn't the best gig, but it was better than sweeping up loose popcorn and unsticking gum from the bottom of seats at the local movie theater. And despite being a tad goofy and shy, I was never the sad sack buster at the place down the block. Sorry. I worked there for over 3 years before anything really weird happened. I mean, sure, I get the odd kid trying to check out movies they shouldn't, or that same dude renting that one movie with that one actress one too many times. But there was never anything overly horrifying or weird or bad, until that guy showed up. It was the Friday before New Year's and my 10th solo closing shift. My manager just started trusting me with enough responsibility to work entirely alone. So here I was, by myself, in a semi-abandoned strip mall off the side of a crumbling road in an unheard of little town somewhere in New Mexico. It was surprisingly slow for a Friday night, and I chalked it up to people going out, getting drunk, or being otherwise more sociable than me. I wasn't complaining. Near closing, the door jingled and this guy walked in. And usually, I wouldn't take any notice of anyone in particular, but this guy was different. He looked too alert, too aware, and too intelligent. It was like he was sizing up the place, sizing me up, sizing the whole fucking world up. I remember exactly what he was wearing. A black suit without the jacket or tie and muddy boots. They looked like cowboy boots. He wandered around the rows of movies going from comedy to family to horror, glancing around every so often. "Can I help you find anything?" I finally asked, getting up off my chair and walking towards him. He didn't even look up. He was standing in the horror movie section. "My sons love this movie." He pointed at the Thing. "And this one. It was Carrie. Any recommendations?" "They want a Christmas movie." "A Christmas movie?" He nodded. "So a recommendation for a Christmas movie?" "Yeah. Have you ever seen Die Hard? It just came out on VHS." "That's a Christmas movie?" I nodded. "The best one." I walked over to the counter and grabbed a loaded case and then handed it to him. He read the back quickly, gawking once at a description of it. "Oh yeah, they'll totally love this. Thanks." He turned on his heel and swiftly but assuredly strode out of the building. I followed him, shocked, and I said, Sir, you still need to rent that. Do you have an account, sir?" But instead of replying, he just swung himself in his old beat-up black truck, waved, and hauled ass out of there. I sighed. Fuck it, I told myself. I'll deal with it tomorrow. And I closed up shop, and that was that. Except it wasn't. I worked nights alone that weekend too, and unlike Friday night, it was busy. So busy I was barely keeping my head above water. I was sitting near the rentals bin when the outdoor slot rattled and a familiar title slid in. Die Hard. Surprised at my good luck and relieved I wouldn't have to file a report, I sighed and I flipped the case open. There was a tape inside, but it wasn't Die Hard. There was no label, no identifying features at all. It looked totally blank. I was staring at it, unsure of what to do, when a customer came up with the rentals. Without even thinking and on autopilot, I popped the tape out of the case into the display player and pressed play. There was no sound, just video, which I couldn't see since the display was above me, facing out towards the customers to view. Everything was normal for the first few minutes or so, and then someone gasped. "What is that?" It was a lady standing in the family aisle. She was looking up at the display monitor above me. "What the shit?" Another customer said near the back of the science fiction and fantasy section. Everybody was looking up, looking at the screen. I scrambled around the counter to see what they were actually seeing, and it definitely wasn't anything I was expecting. It was an incredibly grainy dark shot of what looked like a girl of undeterminable age wearing a white sheet. She was sitting on an intricately carved wooden rocking chair and was rocking slowly back and forth, and back and forth. "Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry," I mumbled, panicked. "Sorry, I popped the tape out of the player and I switched it to 3 men and a baby." "Take that to the police, honey," some lady said. "What?" "No, I bet you it's just some hooligans trying to scare us all," an elderly man in action said. "If that was yours, that's messed up. You should get help." It was a college kid. But I didn't listen to any of them. I took it home. What can I say? I was curious, and I watched it all, twice. There was about 13 minutes of footage spliced between copied clips from Die Hard. It looked like it was filmed inside of some sort of warehouse or maybe loony bunker. You know those bunkers people build to survive the end of days or the apocalypse or whatever. The camera was focused on a central point and the only actor, the girl, wandered around this point, in and out of focus or sat in the center of it, looking down. She looked too healthy to be a captive, but too dirty to be free. Some of the scenes showed her rocking in that chair. Some showed her walking around and around like a caged animal. There was never anyone else in the shot. Never any change in the light and barely any audio. Truth be told, despite being weird and very, very creepy, nothing about the footage was overly graphic or vulgar. I mean, scary, but the girl seemed physically okay. Mentally, probably not so much. The last image was a single scene that lasted about 10 seconds. Behind the camera I heard a quiet, small voice, a child. They mumbled something, and the girl looked up, giving a full, clear shot of her face. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget her. She wasn't crying. Her face was totally devoid of fear or despair or lunacy. She looked justifiably pissed off. I paused the video there, slowed my breath, and then rewound, turning the volume up. I could barely make out what the voice was saying. It sounded like, save or safe. I popped the tape out of the player, knowing what I should do, but not knowing if I could do it. The man came back. Sunday night, December 31st, 1989. Again, right before I closed up. He was wearing jeans and a plain white shirt this time, and had replaced that uncanny alert look with one of immense annoyance. Without a word, I reached under the desk, trying to be sly. The man paused mid-step, raised an eyebrow, and then continued towards me, confident and cool. He reached the counter and tapped it with his fingers. "Can I help you?" "Yesterday, I returned a tape. Turns out one of my sons, I think it was my youngest, but his brother insists it was him. Bless their little hearts. Well, one of them put the wrong VHS tape in the case. One of my personal tapes. I was wondering if you had it." I swallowed. "Oh yeah, you're the guy. Yeah, I noticed that. I wanted to call you to return it, but you never made an account. So I just kept it here just in case. I'm glad you came back. Can I set you up with an account now?" The corners of the man's mouth quivered like he was fighting a smile. Like he knew what I was trying to do and was purposely withholding his information. "You won't need it. They've had their movie renting rights revoked." He cleared his throat. "You didn't watch it, did you?" "No." "Good." He set the copy of Die Hard on the counter and looked at me expectantly. I hesitated and then slid the other tape towards him. "Is that all, sir?" He smiled, and the thing of it is, the smile traveled all the way around his face. It didn't stop at his eyes, didn't leave me wanting. He didn't look evil. Yeah, it still looked like he was calculating the situation, sizing me up, but I trusted him and I hated it. He smiled at me like we were sharing a secret. Just the two of us, and that made us pals. He picked up the VHS and said, "I hope so." And then he turned on his heel and he left. I never saw him again, and I never told anyone what I did until now. I think about that tape almost every day now, and I wonder if I could have done anything to help. Who that girl was, and if she's dead now. And I wonder what happened to his sons, if they saved her. I wonder what their story is. There's one other thing though. One little thing. Deep in the bowels of my basement, I've kept something hidden away, sealed tight in plastic, unspoken of and untouched. See, the tape I gave back to the man, it contained what he wanted. Yeah, but it wasn't what he gave me. At least, it wasn't the original.